Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Catching Flies Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Stephen Burton. Joining me today, and for every episode, the true star of the show. This man has a master's degree. He is an author, a human calculator. He once stumped the Schwab and flies to LA to see his mom, Pete Makatis. What's going on, Petey? Tell me what's on your mind.
Thank you so much for the cool intro. Almost everything in that intro was true. They won't let this face on TV, so I've never actually been on ESPN in that regard, but otherwise everything there was true. Thank you. That was very kind. It brings good feelings to my heart. Welcome everybody to the Catching Flies Wrestling Podcast. This is our premiere episode. Just want to break down for everybody what we have in store for you going forward. This is a dedicated wrestling podcast. We will be spending most of our time in the realm of WWE and AEW. And with WWE, that includes NXT. Wheresoever something interesting is happening in the world of wrestling elsewhere, be it New Japan, be it Impact Wrestling, AAA, anything like that, we will pay attention to that as well. We will also at times be delving into the greater sports world, the entertainment world, the pop culture world, whatever catches our fancy at any given moment. But we are a dedicated wrestling podcast.
And I'm a sucker for The Bachelor.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to fill me in.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yes. We're normally going to be on Tuesdays. Tuesday is the day we're going to be shooting for this week for the premiere episode. We're getting on here on a Wednesday for you. We're going to be, for the time being, on Spotify and YouTube. So wherever you're listening to us from, we thank you for that.
Great intro.
Would like to discuss the name as well. Catching Flies. So Steven and I are both big aficionados on wrestling entrance themes. I can remember being a kid on the playground and humming entrance themes to my friends for them to figure out which wrestler I was and whatnot. So, the Hulk Hogan's and the Macho Mans were pretty easy to figure out. But when I hummed the Bushwhacker theme, they would get a little hazy on that one.
That's impressive.
But, yeah, I can still do it.
Jim Johnson, he shaped our childhood.
He sure
some
did.
Of the greatest themes of all time, man.
Absolutely, in a lot of ways he did. So that said, Catching Flies are the two opening words of what used to now be Bray Wyatt's entrance theme. We love Bray's new theme. We'll talk about Bray later in the show, of course, but Catching Flies also kind of resembles baseball activity. Lets you know that while we are, I'm going to repeat the phrase, a dedicated wrestling podcast, we're looking at other sports as well. So, and we had this name in the works before Bray came back. We've had this whole show in the works since before Bray came back. So his return has been nice. We love it. And again, we are going to talk about that, but that's the genesis of our name and what we're looking forward to doing in the future. We're not going to generally be a recap show, except when pay-per-views take place or premium live events, whatever they're going to call them these days, whatever they're going to call it 2 years from now. Yeah, because technically pay-per-view by its
gone.
Literal definition in WWE anyway is no longer viable, but years and years of calling it something, and we're going to call it a pay-per-view from time to time. So we just did have a pay-per-view this past Saturday with
Great one.
It was a good show, WWE's Crown Jewel, and it's turned into one of, if not the premium, I guess, show of the year for WWE, at least in terms of dollars and what they bring in.
I'd say the biggest premium show of the year. I mean, even it's right there with WrestleMania, and they may even make more money off this. So it's definitely their number 2, if not number 1 event of the year. And so we thought we'd recap this one.
Yeah, and after a iffy beginning to the Saudi shows going back a few years, the Greatest Royal Rumble itself was fun. The show was okay, but the Rumble itself was fun. I'm a sucker for the Rumble. They were getting accusations early on of the Saudi shows just looking like glorified house shows, but that perception changed last year, and it looks like it's heading in a positive direction again this year.
Absolutely. The show's advancing much more than just wrestling, as we're going to go to get into. So, why don't you give us the first match and we'll get started on the recap here.
Right. So it seems here lately on these pay per views, premium live events, that if Brock Lesnar isn't in the main event, then he tends to be in the opening match of the show. And that was the case here. We had the battle of the behemoths. We had Bobby Lashley
Yes.
going one on one with Brock Lesnar to open the show. What were your thoughts on the match, Steven?
My God. Is there two bigger guys in the world? Well, I answered my own question a few matches later, but besides that, these two guys are just like you said, behemoths. They've given us the match that a lot of people has wanted throughout the years. I think might be the first time they've locked horns. But
They had
great
the match at the
match,
Royal
great way to.
Rumble, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
But that
okay,
was,
so maybe the second
yeah.
time, but these guys they put on a great show. I think we've got the turn of Bobby Lashley. I think they're going to push him as a top heel on the show. Judging by what we saw, he pretty much dismantled Lesnar. The fans were definitely behind Lesnar, and overall, I think Brock he likes to get his money and get the heck out of there. So
Yeah,
I
that's why he's not going to be
think that's
last.
why
He's
if
going to
he's
be first.
yeah yeah I'm
But that
either the
said,
main event
he
or
put
I'm
in
out.
he put in a shift, a Lesnar style shift. They went
Right,
at each
longer than
other.
usual. Longer than
Yeah,
usual.
yeah.
I
The
thought
match
this
was
was going to be a
definitely
quick one.
it
It
definitely
went
cleared
way
5 minutes.
yeah.
Um,
So I was impressed though.
yeah, he's definitely capable of putting on longer matches. Just sometimes the shock value of the quicker match works, especially if he's working someone like Goldberg, who Goldberg himself probably has a tough time getting over 5 minutes.
Right,
We know Lesnar can. Um,
absolutely.
he can go. I mean, he had that match with AJ Styles. He had a match with Finn Balor on pay per view that both kind of went the distance. So
And I don't know if
he
it's
can do the work.
I don't know if it's just me or not, but it seems like they built Brock, to that immortal status, and now they've kind of brought him down a little. He's selling more in matches. He sold that knee real well, and overall, I think they're kind of showing the more human side of Brock, which is translating more to the fans. So I think it's good for him.
Yeah, it's a good
I'm
baby face.
excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, it's definitely a good baby face status for him. You can even with someone like Bobby Lashley on the other side, pegging Brock Lesnar as an underdog is always going to be a tough sell because as Pat McAfee says, he is the alpha male of our species, and but still, Brock, babyface Brock, coming out with a cowboy hat and the smiles. I think a happy Brock makes everybody else happy, and he looks happier than
Yeah,
at
he's
any
enjoying
point in his
himself.
WWE career. We're talking about going back to 2002.
Absolutely.
This is the happiest I think we've ever seen Brock. When he came out for the match, he didn't look very happy. He was in go mode at that point, but I think
Sure.
we know he is in a good place as far as his WWE career
I think
goes.
he's having fun.
He is, and he got the
That always
win.
translates to better quality for the show.
Right.
So
And he got the win on the show. He was put into
most
the
importantly,
hurt lock, pardon me, and squirmed his way into a pinfall. Looks less decisive, so it gives us a chance maybe for one day these
right.
guys going at it again, maybe even at WrestleMania.
I really think the ending was the key to this match. They let Lesnar get the win, make the crowd happy, and they make you believe that it was kind of lucky. And then Bobby got his heat right back.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a great match. I mean, it didn't hurt anyone. It helped both of them, and it furthered the story. So great kickoff
Yep, and
match.
it looks like Bobby is a heel again.
Oh, one
Yeah,
thousand percent.
and that's cool. I mean, Bobby can work both ways. He's not much for talking anyway most of the time. So,
Right.
yeah. All right. So the next match on the show was the women's tag team title match. We had the newly crowned champions Alexa Bliss and Asuka. defending their titles against the former champions, Damage Control, the team of Dakota Kai and Io Sky. And I apologize, I'll probably call her Io Shirai at some point. Just known her by that
Right.
name for so many years. But the champs won the title 5 days earlier on Raw, and it turned into a pretty short reign. What did you think about that?
Yeah, like I said a while ago, the WWE's really been trying to further uh, the advancement of seemingly women's rights in that country. It's a different style of life over there. So I applaud the WWE for um, fighting for their women and getting them into the card initially, and now building it up to a tag team match. That's more four women involved instead of just two. They are completely covered up, which is fine. I mean, it's their culture. We're over there. It's up to us to honor it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is helping their culture. The match itself, I didn't care too much for. It felt like a title change just for the sake of a title change for a live crowd. It was a good match. I I'm not crazy about Damage Control, but I love Alexa and Asuka. I would love to see Asuka go back to more of the killer Asuka, and for Alexa, we need some questions answered about her, especially. I know you saw pre-show the little flash right before they
Mm-hmm.
walked out. A little what's the word I'm looking for? The foretelling,
No foreshadowing.
foreshadowing. There
Yeah.
we go. But so I'm eager to see what happens with that. But they worked together good. It was a pretty good match. It just felt like a title change though for the sake of a title change. So not
Yeah, I'm with
thrilled
you on
with
all of
that.
that. Yeah, the quality of the match was fine. The work rate was good. Alexa was, you know, I always felt she's a bit underrated in the ring because she's so good at everything else. But yes, that little flash at the beginning before the match started, and Alexa's reaction to it, like it always is just like stone cold perfect. Um, I'll tell you, man, if I were a Hollywood producer, I'd have been after her a long time ago. Her range of emotion and delivery in short spurts, even, is so good. She is such a naturally talented performer. It just so happens she's a
Agree.
pretty decent, pretty from ranging from decent to good in the ring. She's not an all-time great worker. That's fine. She doesn't need to be, but
Right.
her performance ability is so strong. And I picture her in movies. She could play anything from the sweet little innocent girl next door to a serial killer, and she could probably even
Oh
play
yeah, easily.
that same character in one movie. Um, yeah,
Right.
she's so good, and her
I
little
agree.
reaction to the Wyatt clip, and then her ability to just jump right back into where she was. I mean, her character work is outstanding, and I look forward to seeing the potential between her and Wyatt. We're gonna get into this a little deeper with Wyatt, but they didn't end well.
Right.
Their partnership didn't end well the first time.
Right.
It was just weird
That whole
booking.
story just
Yeah,
kind of fell apart. Yeah. I don't know if it was Vince, if it was Bray. I know he was going through mental health struggle at the time. Alexis had that as well.
yeah.
So I
Whatever it
don't know
was, it just
exactly
kind of
who to
went
blame, but I hope we get it back and we
right.
get the answers to questions, so to speak, that because I think it could be a great pairing.
Uh huh.
Uh, and I'm eager to see if she's one of if she's Abby the Witch or if she's another character or you know uh, where they're going with it. I think it's time.
Right. So we'll get a look at that. But in the meantime, she is now, along with Oscar, titleless. So they held the title for a little
Titleless.
while. One show got
Yep.
a good happy moment on Raw, and then I guess maybe they wanted a title change in Saudi. That could just be what it was. But the next match, I know this is one of your favorites on the show. If not your favorite, I'll let you clarify that. We had round two of what's probably looking like a 3-round series between Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross with Scarlett. That took place in the steel cage. Kross won the first match. This one went to McIntyre. Talk to me about it.
I absolutely love this match. It was one of my, if not my favorite of the whole entire show. I'm a big Karrion Cross fan. I just think he's got it all, from facials to character to look to moves. I think he's going to be a future champion, heavyweight champion one day, and could carry the Raw brand. I really believe that. I thought they worked their asses off. It was a cage match, but it wasn't like the typical cage match with the same spots. I thought they were very creative in their storytelling. Um, the suplex off the top of the cage, I couldn't believe. I mean, that's two massive guys
Mm-hmm.
going up high. I mean, I thought that was awesome. I like the tease of uh, Drew's about to escape, and then out of nowhere, here comes Scarlett again with the mace or spray. Uh, I hadn't seen that before in a cage match, I don't think, so that was cool. And then, like you said at the end, when they're both, Drew's coming down the cage and Cross is coming out the door, and it's a race. Who's going to get there first? And McIntyre was about a foot better that day
Right.
than Cross. So round three, I think, is definitely coming probably at Survivor Series. So I just can't wait. I hope this story continues. I hope they keep advancing it, and I think Cross is the big time. And I'll throw Disco Inferno a shout out for training him because he did a hell of a job for sure with that one.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And they've booked this very well, in my opinion, because they're going to have round three. There's going to be kind of a decisive winner and a decisive loser as far as someone's going to win. They're not going to do a no contest, I would imagine. But
Right,
whoever comes out of it, the winner, and whoever comes out of it, the so-called loser, there won't be a loser. Both guys are going to come out stronger, and that's the best way any feud can end, where you have a decisive winner of the
right.
feud, but both sides come out better for it.
I've heard the term getting over who went over and then who got over,
Right.
and I think in this case it could be a positive for both of them for sure. Hopefully we keep getting a great story on Raw or SmackDown, whichever one they appear
Right.
on. I know lately guys have been hopping up on them every show, but hopefully they keep advancing it, and these two guys are just going to deliver every
Right.
time.
And I've come around on Cross some. When he first came up to WWE, I knew the name. I'd seen a little bit of what he had to do, what he had to offer. My biggest concern from the beginning, which has now been assuaged to a very large degree, is that he was going to hurt somebody. But he's been with the company
He's
on and
vicious,
off.
man.
Yeah, he's been on with the company on and off now for a couple years, and to my knowledge, that hasn't happened. So I think he's a safer worker than I ever gave him credit for. I love his shtick with Charlotte, not with Charlotte, with Scarlett. I got Charlotte on the mind. I guess we're going to talk about her hopefully maybe at some point soon. Um, but when he was first called up without Scarlett, um, that seemed like a glaring error, and and not
I
to say
think
that
it
he can't
was
carry himself. He can absolutely carry himself, but they've got that great thing going on. If nothing else, for that entrance,
right.
the
Uh,
entrance,
th-
the way I'm not sure how it comes across live, but on television, it comes across so great. With
right. I
Scarlett
mean,
doing her thing, dropping down, Cross coming in behind.
right, right.
It's
The
awesome.
timing, the
It's
lights,
awesome.
the smoke.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's one of the top three or four, five entrances maybe of all time.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, if it's
it
not
is
there, it's working its way.
incredible.
So yeah, and I do buy into Karrion Cross as a top level main event level WWE star when I didn't before. So he's turned me around, and that's awesome. I love it when wrestlers can put themselves in that spot. They gotta get help from the
Right,
booking some, but they got to put themselves in that position and show us why we should care, why we should invest any kind of feelings or emotions into them. And dude's done it. Some massive props to him. Steve, you were right about him the whole time. I had to be brought on board a little bit, but nothing wrong with
sure.
that. He got me there. So yeah, McIntyre, Cross, big thumbs up to both you guys, not just for this match, but for
Yeah,
performance
the whole
level.
story's been
Yeah,
great so far. I mean, they're killing it, and I hope we get a Cross versus McIntyre 3.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we will. Next up, speaking of three, this was a 3-man or a 6-man tag team match, 3-on-3. You had the Judgment Day, which is of course Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, led by Rhea Ripley. We'll talk about that in a second. Facing off against the OC. This is of course Bullet Club remnants, AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and the forever underrated Carl Anderson. Do you think the right team went over? Judgment Day beat the OC. Do you think that was the right call?
I kind of thought they were going to let the good guys get the win here, just because of the special show and all. But I think Judgment Day should have and did go over, because you need to build this as a top heel faction if you're gonna keep it together and really go with it. And I think there's plenty of great stories that could be told, and plenty of great places this they could lead us, especially with like me and you believe that Rhea is leading this faction. I'm very interested to see where they're going with this. I kind of thought um, that Finn was the leader, but the last few weeks it's really seemed to change. And is it Dominic? Is it Rhea? Priest gets a lot of mic time, so I feel like they need to give us an established leader. But I think they're going with Rhea, and I'm real interested in this. I was wondering what your thoughts are
Yeah,
about
and
a
this is something I
female
didn't.
led faction.
Right, I didn't think about that dynamic until you brought it to my attention, and now that I am paying attention to it, it seems like Rhea is kind of the de facto leader of the group. It could be one of those leaderless groups. I think we're meant to understand Balor as the leader, and this is not a diss against him for us to think that Ripley is the true leader, but she's kind of the one who's emerged from the group. I mean, groups tend to have that one person who stands out
Absolutely.
and kind of takes the mantle of viability and visibility for that group. And it seems like Ripley's doing that. Uh, Judgment Day, man, they were looking like dead in the water a few
Yeah,
months
when
ago. It's like,
when
why are you even here? And now
they've
they
really
have a
turned it around.
yeah, they have a
The
proper
whole
presence.
the edge thing set them back a little, and then they had to kind of find their footing. But I think they've found that now, and I think the best maybe yet to come for Judgment Day. I mean, this was a good match. AJ Styles he's unbelievable to be mid 40s,
Yeah.
almost 50,
Yeah,
and
he's closer to
to
50 than 40 for those who don't know.
my
That is, yeah.
my God, he's just so smooth, so physical. And Carl Anderson, I mean, uh, although since about 2012, I thought this guy was going to win the IWGP championship at one time, but he's become just such a good tag team wrestler. And Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, it's fun to see them back in the WWE. I kind of feel like that's where they belong. And it adds a quality tag team for the Usos or New Day, or the other great tag teams to go against. I think it's a positive to bring them back. Whatever story we get out of this will be fun. They're gonna do a good job with it. It was a good match. I just Rhea needs to get her comeuppings, and I think that day is coming. Her Judgment Day may
Yeah.
be coming.
Yeah, when we look a little bit closer at Monday Night Raw, we'll talk about something that took place on that show that was fun, that got me a little tingly. So,
Yeah.
uh, so we need to transition now to the next match, and we talked about the Battle of the Behemoths earlier. This is the Battle of the Skyscrapers. When you're in a match and Braun Strowman looks like a normal sized human being. The other guy's a big guy. This is Omos versus Strowman, and Strowman got the win. Both guys got in their offense. But what do you think about this kind of match in general and this match in particular?
I thought it was fun. Like you were saying, for those that don't know, Braun Strowman is 6'8", 350-ish pounds. It's a massive man.
Yeah.
But when he looks like a child next to another man, almost is just another animal. And this really kind of put it into perspective, I think, for the first time for me somehow. I mean, I know he's been on the show a while and we've seen him do squashes and stuff, but my goodness, this guy is just, he's a freak. And so is Strowman. I mean, to move that fast, to be, that quick, that strong. I thought it was a great, battle of the giants type of match. Strowman has really improved. I feel like when he got the call and got let go for a little while, I think he grew up a little. He got better. He worked hard, and now that he's back, I think he's primed for a big time run. And this could have been the setup to get him back into the title picture. I think that's what they were kind of trying to do. Get him, establish him as like the top babyface, top badass guy, get him going. So good match overall. It
Yeah, it
wasn't
was
too
better than
long.
I
It
thought it
wasn't too
might be.
short. It
Yeah,
was
I think
better
we
than what
had.
I thought. That's the best compliment, really. Yeah, better than
Yeah,
what I thought it was going to be.
I think we had faith that Strowman could pull a little bit out of Omos. He's no Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, have a good match with a broomstick
Right,
type, but he's also a very functioning man for his size. I mean, his speed scares me almost. I'm not sure if I'm faster than him, and if he was chasing me, I would be, because that adrenaline rush of
right.
getting chased by Braun Strowman would get my jets going. But at the end of the day, Omos, he's still young. Omos is not yet 30. I'm not sure he's ever going to be even at the, let's say, Big Show or Giant level when he was in WCW level of working, but he's also not Kali. He is
Right.
capable of moving around a little bit.
I think if
Um,
almost gets some facial and can learn to sell a little bit better, show more than just the big scream,
yeah, he has a chance to be
he's
decent.
got potential.
Yeah,
Yeah, he moves well. Big show level, not a chance in my opinion. Paul
right.
White was a freak. I actually saw a meme of him doing a kip up from
Yeah,
'97 not too long ago, which is
no, he
unbelievable.
has hopped the ropes before. Things he did when he was young, when he was very young.
He
He
did
was
a top
23.
rope drop kick in
Yeah.
WCW,
Uh-huh.
7 foot, 500
And
pounds.
so
So,
Omos is probably far from that, but he's maybe sort of at like 2005, 2007 Big Show level before he left for a
he's
while, lost the
definitely
weight, and
got
came back to face Mayweather.
right. Definitely has major potential though.
Yeah.
Almost
So,
does.
and as long as he's
But I
got
think
MVP by his
Strowman,
side,
right, MVP. That's the key. I
yeah.
wish he would have been there. I think they told a good story to make it understand why he wasn't there. But he's got to have MVP because without a mouthpiece, I don't know
No,
really what he
he
is.
needs MVP, and MVP is there. Omos just lost. We saw Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin on Raw this week. Bobby Lashley turned heel. I'm just
That's
saying.
no, that's what
I'm just
I've been
saying.
thinking the
We
same
could
thing.
have a
Like,
reunion.
are we gonna get which I thought was a great crew? They made a cool shirt and then they just dismantled the group.
Yeah,
I think that could be a good heel faction, but
absolutely.
we won't jump the gun
No,
yet.
but it was just a thought brewing in my head.
Absolutely.
All right, next match. Of course, this match was always going to be good. This match was always going to get the crowd ready, but there was a tiny problem with it, and the tiny problem is actually kind of a big problem. We're talking about the WWE Tag Team Title match between the Usos and the Brawling Brutes. So that would be the team of Butch and Ridge Holland. And the problem with this match was that there was a 0% chance that these titles were going to change hands. And that goes back
I
to,
agree.
that goes back to the promo they did, the acknowledgement that the Usos are ready to break the record reign of the New Day for tag team championship reign, and the fact that they're gonna, if the Usos won and they were gonna face each other on Friday, come on, that match was always gonna happen.
Right.
So it's a
The
small problem
only
with this match,
way
but a big one.
the only way this wasn't happening and the Usos weren't going to go over would have been if like there would have been a major catastrophic injury during the match and they called something crazy on the fly because they knew one of them
Right.
was going to be out a long time.
And clearly nobody wants to see that.
They should
So
not, right? They should not have done that promo prior to this match because, like you said, the minute you knew that if the Usos won, they're going to take on the New Day for longest consecutive title day reign by a tag team. You knew they were for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, going to win because they're not going to miss that match. I mean, honestly, that's a bigger drawing match than what they had there. I'd much rather see the New Day versus the Usos for because I mean, literally for the last decade, it's basically been those two tag teams carrying that entire division anyway.
right.
So I feel like this is kind of the who truly is the greatest tag team in WWE, at least for the last decade or so.
Right. On top
So
of the
it's going to be a
streak of
good
the
match.
yeah, that's probably what's going to be on stake there. But we want to give credit to these guys. They busted tail.
Yeah, they worked hard. Ridge
Yeah.
Holland's come a long way. He initially scared the hell out of me, especially after he hurt Big E. I was
Yeah.
like, is
Mhm.
this guy done? Is he even going to get another chance? Is he safe? He's come a long way. I think Sheamus has helped him out a lot. I wish they'd give Pete Dunne his name back, but
He may like Butch. Who knows?
overall, well, that's true. I mean, I don't know him, but overall, I thought it was a good match. You just knew who was going to win the whole time, so
Right. And that's why I'm
it
surprised of the
kind of
placement on the card. It was, I understand it's a title match,
right.
but being third from the top, so to speak, that
Yeah, to
surprised me a
me,
little bit.
this could have been an opener even,
It could have been.
unless, like you said, Lesnar did say, if I'm not last, I want to be first.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that was
but they
the
they worked hard and it was a good match. That's all I can really say about that one.
yep, absolutely. Alrighty, our next match, the next to last match on the show, was for the Raw Women's Championship. Champion Bianca Belair defending against the challenger Bayley. And these two have had a good run with these last couple of months, and they came to fruition here in this match, didn't it?
Absolutely. Bailey has been very much so missed by Raw. I feel
Mm-hmm.
she's an absolute superstar. She can work with anybody. She can tell any story. She's she's just really come back on fire. I love her character. I think she could be the top heel. Necessarily need perfection, but I thought this was a great match. It wasn't they did a few spots that I hadn't seen before in a last man or woman standing match. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good match, except for one thing, and I know you hated it as much as I
Uh-huh.
did. To finish this match, albeit creative, I thought it was smart creatively, but visually, uh, not so much. It looked pretty bad, in my opinion. It sounds good to put your opponent in the ladder, close the ladder, sandwich it under the bottom rope. Visually, it's not a cartoon anymore. So I hated the finish, but overall, I thought they worked hard and it was a great match. So, what was your thoughts on it? How do
Right.
you think it could have been better?
Right. Again, let's say the match was 20 minutes long. The first 19 and a half minutes of it were great. um,
Absolutely.
the golf cart spot was kind of cool. It's just one of those visuals that stands out to you that you might remember 2 years from now. You might not remember a move or anything, but it's like, I remember that one time that Bianca drove Bailey down the ramp in a golf cart, just
Right,
one of those
right.
type things. Um, Two problems with the ending. One is a specific problem with the actual execution. It just didn't look like Bailey was trapped. I'm sorry. It didn't. It
No,
looked like she could have got, if she really wanted to, she could have got out. But since
and
she's
the
read
way
the
she was
script,
selling it didn't help it. Like she's
yeah,
squirming, trying to get out the side, but it's like you've got your entire body and torso out.
yeah,
How can you not get your. So I think she would have. I think it would have looked better if she would have just laid there pretending to be crushed, so to speak, and can't move.
Or if she even
Hate
got
it.
out and told Bianca, hey, get me more stuck. Try it
Right,
again.
right. I mean, just KOD her through a table, count to 10. I mean, or KOD her off the top rope even, or something like that. The ending to this match was so bad it ruined the match
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah, it
unfortunately.
had a degree of ruination for me. Not enough to say I didn't like it. But yeah. So that was my specific complaint. My general complaint is just this trope of last man, last woman standing matches in WWE. So they're always, without fail, advertised as last man standing, last woman standing. The point of the match is to incapacitate your opponent such that they can't answer the count of 10. But every
That is
time they have these matches, they wind up trapping the wrestler and they don't get incapacitated.
right. This is Michael Cole's favorite word to say, I think.
I think incapacitate is his favorite word.
Incapacitate.
Yeah.
They make sure to say it just like you said it
Yeah.
every time there is one of these matches. And this is a newer thing. I feel like in the early 2000s, when they had these matches, you would see guys beat the tar out of each other.
Yeah.
But for
And
the
then,
last few years, it's been let me outsmart the opponent. Let me handcuff them to something to where they can only get on a knee. Well, they're not technically up, so therefore they lose. Or let me trap them in a case, or let me pin them in
right.
a ladder. Like you're not. It's supposed to be you beat your opponent until they are lifeless and can't stand to the count of 10, like we saw with Reigns and Lesnar at SummerSlam, which I saw in person at SummerSlam.
Right.
This, to me, I thought they worked their tail off. They had some creative spots and they did some cool stuff, but it just, the ending was so hokey. And I just want to see, especially for the women, they don't do a lot of these type of matches. Like I would have preferred to see, Bianca KOD her through a table off the top of whatever, and beat her clean, show her dominance as the women's champion, not just that I can outsmart Bailey.
Right. And again, that match ending can be good. It can be useful, but it's become the ultimate crutch. My favorite last man
It's a
standing match of all
scapegoat.
time. Uh, I might get the year wrong. I feel like it was 2000, maybe 2001. With Jericho, Triple H. I think it was fully loaded. What I remember most about that match was the call at the end by Jim Ross. Then he said that it was Triple H won the match, and he's like Triple H was up at because they were both down. They were both down for the 9 count, and Triple H barely got himself up before the 10. Jericho was still down, so Triple H won the match. And JR said he was up at 10, but down at 11. And
Oh, that's another classic
yeah,
by Jim Ross
and
there, and that's
that's the
great.
way I'd prefer. It doesn't have to be every time, but I prefer to see last man slash last woman standing matches end. I guess they're looking to protect a little bit. That's fair. I understand that perspective, but
Too much of that going on in
too
today's
much. Yeah.
business. I would have preferred to see them, like you said, either both fall off the stage through a table or something. One barely gets up and
Yeah.
then falls right back down. But
A
I
proper
am
last
glad
woman
though
standing.
they did finally get a women's title match over in Saudi. So again, you're furthering that aspect of it. So I appreciate what they've done.
Right. Yeah. That aspect of it, absolutely. And now we arrive to the main event. And
It's time for the
yep.
main event.
And it was head scratching to me when this was announced, but this is another one of those situations where I like to be proven wrong. So the main event is Logan Paul in his third ever match, his second ever singles match, going
Right.
right to the top of the card to face Roman
Wow.
Reigns for the title. And guess what? It was freaking great, wasn't
It was awesome.
it?
I was at SummerSlam, saw him wrestle The Miz there. Thought the guy was a joke. I mean, I'm not his biggest fan per se
I
of
never
him of
heard of him
his
until I came to
brother,
WWE.
but there is no doubt that this guy is a mega star. I mean, in comparison alone, Roman Reigns has like 2.5 million followers on Twitter. Logan Paul has 20
Wow.
million. This guy is going to be, if not already, a billionaire. Him and his brother, they are bringing massive amounts of media and eyeballs to the WWE. So you got to respect him. But just for that alone. Now, moving on to his athleticism and ring work, this guy, my God, for a third match, he looks, I mean, he did this leapfrog where he jumped
Uh-huh.
over Roman Reigns, who's 6'4", touched both of his toes with his own hands, like supreme athleticism, incredible storytelling between them two, I thought. Jake Paul, he blew me out of the water, man. Like he took some big punches, some big slams, got, right back up. The story with his brother being the knockout artist was fun. I would have loved to have seen Sami Zayn there. I think he would have added a lot. Obviously, the location makes that tough,
Yeah.
but I uh, I thought this was incredible. I hope the rumors aren't true and that he supposedly tore his ACL during the match or at some point there.
Some kind of
I
knee
hope
injury for sure.
Yeah, I hope he's okay because if he wants to be, he could be a huge star in WWE. I mean, I get it with this guy now. He impressed the heck out of me, and
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think bringing a lot of great attention to the WWE.
so he first came on the WWE television when Sami Zayn was doing the whole conspiracy documentary. I'll be honest, I'd never heard of him. I'm not.
I
That's
just
not
knew he
really
was
my
a
bag of.
YouTube star.
Right.
That's all
That's
I knew about
yeah.
him.
That's not really my cup of tea. My bag of chips. My cake. Whatever you want to call. Whatever metaphor
Right,
you want to use.
mine either.
So I'd never heard of him. But he came on today. I'm like, okay, whatever. Turns out he is like we've talked about it. He is a great athlete. He's just a great athlete. He seems to love the business. I don't think he needs WWE nearly as much as WWE would need him.
Oh no, he's filthy rich.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
he
he's got to love the business, and this is a dream of his to do this. I saw last night, which I skipped a little ahead to Raw, but that clip of him filming himself off the top rope,
uh-huh.
splashing Reigns through the table, has more views than any other WWE social media clip of all time.
Uh,
It was like 40 million views,
40
which
million.
is just unbelievable. I mean, that's mind-boggling. Like,
Ugh.
but this guy, he's bringing the attention, he's bringing the eyeballs, and I think this could end up being one of the best partnerships WWE's
All
had in
right.
a while. Like, this is incredible signing for them,
And tell you what,
and
dude, we've got to put a lot of respect and a lot of credit on the other side of that match.
Reigns
Roman
did a
Reigns.
phenomenal job. He made this guy look like
Yeah.
a viable contender, and even for brief second, a brief second, I thought, are they really going to give the title to this guy? Because when he hit that what are they calling it, the knockout punch,
uh-huh.
and
The one lucky punch.
yeah, the one lucky punch. I'm sorry. When he hit that in the ring, and you could see Paul Heyman, God, he's so good. He's on the
we,
sideline,
we have to do a whole
got the
show on
lay
Heyman
in
one
his
day.
mouth. He's scared to death. He's praying to God and everything. Like he's just so good. He had so much. But when Logan Paul hit that, I thought it's over. I thought, okay, we're in Saudi. Maybe they're gonna give him the belt for a few days, but just for a brief second, then I remembered who Roman Reigns was.
They made you believe, though.
Reality struck. Yes, I lost my sense of reality and was believing in the match. Like it was a lot of fun. It was a great performance, and if this guy sticks with wrestling and gets a few years under his belt, there's no way he's not a future champion.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. But Roman was the clear veteran in the match, was able to make it go. Of course, Paul did his thing. Without Paul's abilities, it wouldn't have been as good. I'm just when it comes to expectation level versus what took place, this was the best match on the show.
Absolutely.
When grading on a curve, I think the best match on the show in general, I tend to agree with you, was McIntyre and Cross. There was no big dud on the show. You had the potential with Omos and Strowman that turned out fine. The show on a whole, it was good. WWE delivered. They're delivering well more often than not in this new Triple H era. And
They've
Crown
been
Jewel
on
goes in the
fire.
books. I liked it.
I fully enjoyed it. I thought it was a great show. I mean, probably the best Saudi show they've done. This pay-per-view is going to stand up against any pay-per-view they do the rest of the year, in my opinion. Um, this was top notch and delivered in a big way. They fully got their money's worth. That's about
Yeah.
all you can say. I mean, at the end of the day, they fully got their money's worth. No real turds. A lot of hard work. The only match, like you said, that kind of you knew going in when the Usos were gonna win, but other than that, any match was up in the air for the most part. So great pay-per-view, great recap. I think we're ready for Raw.
Yeah, and looking at Raw took place a couple of days later. These guys jumped back on the plane and went straight to the East Coast, Wilkes-Barre,
Which
Pennsylvania.
mad props for that, because that had to
That's
be a
insane.
brutal,
That's insane.
brutal turnaround, especially for the guys that were on SmackDown, flew to Saudi for Saturday, and then flew right back to Raw.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just
my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah. I can't. Nope, not that's not something I'm interested in trying. But
Right?
we're not going to recap Raw from start to finish, but I do want
Sure.
to mention that promo at the beginning with the Usos and the New Day. That's always gold. These guys, they could feud forever and it would be fine. Um,
Right.
when
You would
Matt
never
Riddle
get
came down to
tired
the
of it.
ring, I'm like, this makes sense. Matt Riddle's coming down to the ring. He's going to talk about RK Bro and how
Right.
that just didn't happen. So the whole Riddle thing was weird.
I
But the
thought it was
promo
a
was
little
great.
out of nowhere. Yeah, very out of nowhere. Like, I figured they were, just because Sokoa was in the mat or in the ring with them. I figured they were going to lead into a 3-on-3, but I didn't know who the. I was kind of hoping for a big return or surprise person. I'm okay with Riddle.
Yeah, in the
Excuse
context of
me.
RK Bro, it made sense, and just never got mentioned. Uh,
I think the wordplay with the bong goes,
it
and
was funny for a second.
yes, it's getting a little played out. But that's his character. So I mean, it is what it is. But
Yeah,
overall, I thought it was a pretty good six-man. Sokoa, and I don't know if he's getting enough credit. I
they're
think he
booking him
said
right.
so much by saying nothing at all, and he looks like a killer. He acts like a killer. I'm glad they gave him the win in this match. Kind of build him up a little bit, get him going. Because he looks like an absolute savage with the towel on, walking to the ring. Mug on his face, just dominant ass kicker.
Right.
And so I think he's got big things in the future.
Okay,
Uh,
it'd be hard to miss on him. So,
agree.
I love me some JBL. I'm a Texan. He represents Texas. I don't currently live in Texas, mind, but I am originally from Texas. And just every time that dude opens his mouth, I'm listening. I think the pairing with him and Baron Corbin is downright perfect. There's
The only
two despicable
problem,
heels.
right? The only problem I have with them is JBL is such a good talker that he makes every other heel on that show look like crap. Like, he's so good at making you hate him, whether it's the tried and true classic of build the town up to crap all over it at the end, or you know, just playing on your favorite team and then crapping on them at the end. Like, he's
It's
just
that
so good at
delivery
getting
though.
heat. Yeah, the delivery. He I was surprised to kind of at first at this pairing, but it's working.
It's working.
So I'm eager to see where it goes. Who's going to be, is he going to go for a title? Is he going to, which title is it? Because I don't think he needs to be in the heavyweight title contention, but I think he could go for a U.S. or Intercontinental and make a very good run out of it. Because he's somebody that you just love to hate. Like
Yeah,
Baron Corbin, he can go. He's a great wrestler,
yeah, he's better
but
than you think.
he's got a face you just hate. At least I do. Like, so
I'd say you
I'm
want to
I'm
punch it, but
very
he'd punch you
interested
back.
in it. Right, my God, yeah.
So we were talking about the potential comeuppance or the rise, so to speak, of Rhea Ripley. It was
Right.
brief, it was quick, But that little backstage kind of crossing paths between her and Bianca Belair, where they just kind of pause, acknowledge each other. I love
Right.
that. I love how, like, in
Yeah.
5 seconds, oh, okay, this match is going to happen. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but sometime soon. Maybe
Right.
even, I don't
Right.
think it's going to happen in Survivor Series because it seems like there's going to be a War Games match.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, now we know that there is after
yeah,
watching Raw. Like you said, that could be a Mania type of
yeah.
match.
But Ripley,
Way down
Bianca,
the line.
NXT
That's the
history, they'll tell that story.
right.
I
That's
have
going to be
faith
a
in Triple H to execute
massive
that story.
draw.
Just
100%.
love that little tease. Uh, we got to give some just general props. I think. I mean, maybe you're not going to agree with me. I think you do agree with me on this. The Miz. Um,
Oh, that segment with Gargano and
yeah,
everything last Monday was phenomenal. This story's been super interesting. Uh, Quickly before we jump into this story, I just wanted to revert back to Rhea. We did see her finally get some comeuppance with a surprise of Mia Yim joining the OC.
yes. Oh, how do I fail to mention
Uh,
that? Apologies.
just before we get too far ahead, I just want to briefly say I like that pairing. I wish she would have had like red hair instead of blue, just because of their color. But uh, I think they definitely needed a woman to join that little group that could handle Rhea or help them with her. Because as the good guys, you know, you never lay the hand on the woman.
Right.
So they needed some help. They've got some help. Now let's further this story.
Yeah, and Mia, if you
Skip
happen to
it.
be listening, first of all, thank you. Second of all, sorry I skipped over you like
Right.
that.
No, it was a fun return. I mean, I think somebody maybe with a bigger name may have been a little better, but glad she's back.
Yeah,
She's very she's a bigger girl as far as like height and stuff, so she can hang with Rhea, who's a tall girl. It's they're gonna be physical. It'll be a great pairing. Now on to the Miz.
yeah, and it
This
was
to
the
me
Miz.
has
I just want to
been
speak about him in general. I mean, the fact that he's
right.
so. If you
I,
told somebody 15 years ago the Miz was going to consistently hang with indie darlings and then put up good matches and get acclaim for it, I mean, his career is the most unique in WWE history,
oh
maybe.
yeah,
And
he
he's
turned nothing into something and
right,
has turned almost 2 decades out of it.
right,
Like
and
you got to give him mad props for that.
absolutely,
This story, I think, is one of the most unique stories that they've told in a long time. At least in my memory, can't recall a story where someone has paid somebody to attack them or cost them matches or appear to scare them, only to in turn further their own career. So I thought that was a very interesting spin. Um, I liked how they revealed it. I really enjoyed every part of this segment. I thought the Miz, you know, he got embarrassed, but then he looked physical in the match. And I'm eager to see where the story keeps going. Like a lot of them, they've since Triple H has taken over, every storyline has gotten a boost and has gotten super interesting. And overall, I thought this was a great segment, great match, and just want to see where it keeps going, like so many other things.
right. And even if you're not a fan of the story, at least it's being told to its completion with Triple H.
Right, it makes sense.
Yeah,
There's no real loose ends like there would be a lot of times
right.
back when Vince was in charge of everything. So overall, this was great. Gargano's getting a big push, and I think it's only going to lead to bigger and better things for him. And the Miz is just great as one of
Yeah.
the top turds of the show.
All
Like
right.
he's a
And he's
he's
so
just
over that
great.
he could lose a million matches in a row and never lose his
It
heat.
wouldn't matter,
Yeah.
right? He's going to talk you right back into any
Right.
match or any angle. So
Yeah. So yeah, we got to talk about the ending of Raw. Uh, the
it's surprising.
apparent, at least partial burial of Austin Theory. I don't think he's truly buried. He can bounce back
Well, yeah,
easily,
he's so young and
but
good that he's going to come back. But I think we've just realized that this was Vince's guy. It's
yeah,
not Triple H's guy, and the potential is massive. But it's called potential for a reason. It's in the future. It's not now. Um, Austin Theory. he's carried the briefcase for a while. I've often wondered, especially with Roman being in God mode and whatnot, you knew he wasn't going to cash in on
Right.
Reigns, so that's limited him to one belt for the last basically. I mean, it's been close to a year, what, 8 9 months since he was won that,
Money in the Bank
and
was, I think, the first show after Mania. It's been at least, it's been close to half a year, if not more.
okay, so
Yeah.
six close to 6 months or so. He's not really done anything at all with it. There's not been any stories really around it. There's been a couple of fake teases, but you never got the sense he was really going to cash in on what Reigns or Lesnar. You never got the sense he was going to cash in on anybody. So I kind of like the idea of using it on a secondary title, trying to quote unquote steal the U.S. title, but I uh, I just don't think it's the right time for him. So I was okay with him not winning the belt. I think this was supposed to be Seth Rollins' official turn last night. I think they are going to push him to the moon as the top babyface now. Uh, Seeing him get destroyed and keep fighting and then take another big move and then kick out and keep fighting. He had the crowd 100% behind him. They were singing his song while he was laying in the ring getting his butt kicked, trying to get him back into it. And when he finally hit the stomp and got the victory, the place went bananas. So, I think it was the right call. It frees up Austin Theory from that having to have that briefcase everywhere with him. It gives you instantly a top baby face, and I was surprised how they did it, but I think it's going to work out for the best.
And you hit the nail on the head. The reason why I don't think it's a proper burial is because it frees him from that briefcase. As much as that briefcase has made people, in this particular case, I think it was more of an albatross. You
Yes,
can't just take it away from him. That doesn't make logical sense. He was given the briefcase under the McMahon era, and there was ways to throw around it. You could do the thing you did with Otis. You can do the thing you did with Mr. Kennedy back in the day. Have him lose it in the match. Um,
right,
I don't think this buries the concept of Money in the Bank. I think I've heard whispers of that, and maybe that's lost its luster. And maybe it has lost its luster a little bit, but it's not something that can't be rectified. They can rebound from
100%.
this. They can do art. I mean,
Look what it
Money in the
did
Bank
for
for the
Seth
women's been great.
Rollins.
For the
Yeah,
women,
I
has
mean,
been great. They're not holding on to the briefcase very long, but they're
right,
getting the
right,
titles. So
right.
Money in the
It's
Bank as a
serving
concept
its
is not dead.
purpose. No, I think it's a great pay-per-view. It's a great idea. I think you just need to be more careful on who you give it to.
Right.
And I think this time, those that have failed probably shouldn't have had the briefcase to begin with. And because we've seen what it could do for guys like Seth Rollins. When he cashed in that
Yeah.
briefcase at WrestleMania, that place went bananas
I
and
went
it
bananas.
immediately catapulted him to superstardom. Like, so it
Edge,
can Edge, yeah. I mean, it
CM Punk,
can
RVD.
massively
Yeah.
elevate you. So they just need to do a better job of who they put it on. And like you said, maybe not wait that whole year. Maybe not wait. Now I don't like the very next night the women on the women cashed in. There's the very next day,
They've
but
been doing it too much, but it can be useful.
yeah. But I do like that aspect of it because it is supposed to be anytime, any place, anywhere title match. So if you at any point see the champion get beat down, that person in theory should be out there. Not Austin theory, but I mean in
I got
theory
that
in general, the
though.
person should be out there going, okay, is this the right time? Should I cash in? He's pretty beat up, or she's pretty beat up. No, maybe I'll wait till they get beat up even more, or whatnot. But I think it's a great idea. They just need to put it on better people.
Just all comes down to better long-term planning in general.
Better, yes.
And
And they seemingly have that fixed now. So
Vince in the past, we're talking about like the 80s, 90s past, could do the long-term storytelling. I don't think he has the patience for it in his golden years, let's say. So that was that. And like we promised at the beginning of the show, we're a WWE and AEW pod, and AEW's been on the back burner. It's pay-per-view week. It's going to happen.
Right.
Um,
When
with
they have a
AEW coming up
pay-per-view, they'll lead
soon.
off the show.
Yeah, AEW is coming up with their show soon. That's going to be a more AEW themed show. But just to go over some of the things that we saw on Dynamite, I guess Jeff Jarrett's in AEW now. Cool.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was
Well,
weird.
okay. I was at Starcast 5. I went
Uh-huh.
to Flair's last match with Jeff Jarrett. I fully enjoyed that. Jeff Jarrett had mega heat against Ric Flair, believe it or not. Like, Jeff Jarrett is an underrated storyteller. He can work. He looks phenomenal for his age. I mean, he
Sure.
looks to be in great shape. I think his just in general, his wrestling knowledge is going to benefit AEW massively. Tony Khan needs some help booking. One guy cannot book 4 or 5 shows each week, especially with all the guys they have. And I think and hope that Jeff Jarrett will help him with that. Give him some ideas, get him going back in the right direction. AEW, I've been there from the beginning. I was at all in. I followed those guys in New Japan. They brought me the Young Bucks and Omega brought me back to wrestling in 2015. That said, this company I was so excited about, but they lost their way a little, and they need some guys, some good veterans like a Jeff Jarrett to bring them back to what they were. And I think this was a great signing. Um, and in the meantime, if he wants to do a run, I'd love to see him and Sting in a tag match, like Darby and Sting versus Jarrett and somebody in a tag match. And I think Jeff Jarrett can do a great job of getting that heat. And I think this was just a home run. They do have 1,000,002 guys on the roster, but they needed somebody with his kind of ability to get heat and be a booker. And I think this is going to be a big benefit to AEW.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard the best analysis on Jeff Jarrett signing with AEW on the internet. Very excellent. That was awesome. I'm
Thank
just
you.
like, kicking back here listening to that. I was like, okay, yep, perfect. Uh, yeah, there is a perception that AEW's lost its way a little bit. There is one thing on AEW that's always going to be awesome, and I know you're thrilled. I know I'm thrilled that these guys are getting their due. We've been on them for a while now. All hail the Acclaimed. Best thing going in wrestling right now, in my opinion. Those two dudes,
Scissor me, Daddy
those three
Pete.
dudes, Uh, the fact that Billy Gunn is one of the most over people at the end of 2022 blows my
Right?
mind. But he's in the right place at the right
He
time.
looks like a Greek god. My God,
Yeah,
he's
he's
chiseled out of
yep,
granite, just ripped. I mean, I
yeah.
seen him in person not too long
So
ago,
have
and
I.
just jacked.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
Max
but by far the
Caster.
most over thing in AEW right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, and they should be. And
They should.
we've been a little early on the bandwagon, and I'm not the type that gets jealous when other people notice what I've noticed. Like my favorite indie rock star became popular, and now I don't like him anymore. No,
Right,
no, 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 no. I want these guys getting their due.
right,
And Anthony Bowens, Max Caster, and they haven't even really changed their stick. They're doing the same thing, but the crowd
right.
finally caught on to what they're doing. I hope they're tag team champions for the next 75 years, man. And just come out in a wheelchair and defend those titles, do your
Well,
rap,
they
have
need to
JR like,
have.
listen. I love
Yeah,
everything about them. They're awesome.
they're.
They're the best thing going in wrestling right now. The Acclaimed.
I think the most over in AEW for sure
Yeah.
right now. These guys that I think they need some stability with the titles. So much has happened in that company where guys have won titles and then lose them or get them stripped or they get hurt as of late. They need to have a group that has a belt and has it for a while and brings that stability and honor kind of back to what the championship's supposed to mean. So I hope they have a great run. I see huge things for Max Caster, especially. Like I think I
John
hope they
Cena
keep them
potential.
together. Yeah, I mean I really
He
do.
really does.
It's not just because they're both rappers, but he's got the body, he's got the moves, he can talk. I mean, I just think he's a can't miss right now.
Right now, he is.
So
Yeah.
they're killing it. I just I hope they don't mess it up. That's that's my only
Well,
worry.
by they, I mean, as far as I'm
Yes.
concerned, when you say they, it's not those two guys. It might be
No, no,
management.
no.
Yeah,
Booking. Yes.
because they've already taken their shot at Caster. We're not going to get into the details of all of that. You probably know the story
Sure.
by now.
They get a
If you
little
don't look it up,
snowflakey.
but Max Caster did face a little bit of a suspension um, early in his career. Um, let him be. Let him be. He knows. He knows what he can and can't say.
Right.
Um, that line is moving. That's a whole different topic, but
Sure.
let them do their thing. Right now, they're getting this right. There's someone else who's on the verge in AEW of exploding that I'm for some reason not as confident they're going to get right, and that's Jamie Hayter. She looks like she's ready to emerge. Will they handle her correctly?
The fans seem to be really, really behind Hater. She's very physical. She works her tail off for sure. I'm not sold all the way on her just because I don't think she's a good enough talker, but we don't really get a chance to see her talk because Britt's always talking.
And she's so good, and by comparison, she
She's
might not
so
look as
good.
good. Yeah.
Right. And to me, that division's kind of lost it. That goes back to they kind of lost their way a little. So whatever they decided to do, we need stability in the champion. You need somebody who's reliable, dependable, who's going to be the face of your company at that point. And I don't know if Jamie Hayter's ready for that. I obviously 100% agree with that. Jade Cargill is the women's or the TNT women's champion. As she should be. I think she should just be the champion. I think they should just have one women's championship belt. You know, make things a lot easier, not as convoluted. But I guess that's a different debate. But Hater's got major potential. Personally, though, I think Britt should have had the belt the whole time. This whole time, she should have been the women's champion. So I don't know if they're going to be able to get her out of Britt Baker's shadow. They are telling a good story with her and Tony Storm, how they were friends and now they're enemies. They used to be roommates and now they, seemingly hate each other. But I just don't know if she can get out of the Baker shadow.
And that's part of the problem I think I'm having with this too is that, and I think I'm not alone in this assessment when I say that AEW hasn't been so great at booking their women. There was a lot of complaints that, and almost within a 1 month span of each other, CM Punk and Thunder Rosa both had to vacate their titles, or I guess vacate's the wrong word given they had interim champions. But regardless, what did Punk get? A 10-minute promo in the ring, and Rosa got about 30 seconds in the
30.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that might be generous saying that. It may
Right.
have been 30 seconds. They've had some bad luck with their women's
They
champions.
have had bad luck.
Injuries happen at very, seemingly crappy times for them the last few. But I just think we need a stability. They need a true face of their division to be the champion and build that because I don't mean this in an offensive way at all, but that is the weakest point of their show is the women's division, and they need a woman champion that's going to be the face and build the entire um, division up. So, Jamie Hayter, she's got potential, but I just don't know if she's capable of doing that. That's my concern.
All righty, folks. So, as mentioned earlier, we're not normally going to spend so much time on one show, but pay per views are going to do that. Um, this seems like a more WWE centric show for us this week. With Full Gear coming up in a couple of weeks, it's going to have the reverse. The reverse feel. It's going to feel like more of an AEW centric show. But all that said, we just want to do a quick little peek behind the curtain in the world of football. Congratulations to you for the Vikings being 7-1. Stephen being a big Vikings fan. I
Yeah, very
I'm a
surprising me.
you know
I'll take it.
I'm a
I
49er fan. We're 4-4. I think kind of the Vikings, despite being 7-1, don't look as good as 7-1. Not to say they're bad, but the Niners
no.
4-4. Not to say that they're great, but I think maybe look a little better than their 4-4 record. But if the playoffs started today, they'd both be in. So
So that's
it'd
what
actually
you
be
that's all you can hope for
they'd
is a
actually be playing each
chance.
other as a 2 versus 7 game. And
That's insane.
speaking of our teams playing each other, college football poll came out. Steven's team,
Right.
Georgia Bulldogs, are number 1. My team, the TCU Horned Frogs, are the number 4 seed. So we'd play each other in that one too if the
Right?
season
How
ended today.
crazy would this
And,
be if it lined up like that? Mad props to them. They've
yeah,
played their tails off this year. The Horned Frogs. They've had a couple of teams lose to help them out a little, but if they go undefeated and win their their conference, they have to be in the Final Four.
you
In
think
my
so?
eyes. I think Michigan and Ohio State. Obviously, one of them is going to get a loss because they play each other. So if you've got an undefeated Big Ten champion, an undefeated, hopefully SEC champion, Big 12 champion, and then maybe the Pac 12, maybe this is the first year the playoff actually does what it was designed to do, which was to take the top four conference champions, pit them against each other, and find out who a true champion is. This might be one of the few years where we get one from each the big conferences. I
You're more
love college
optimistic.
football. I uh, I think this year has been a lot of fun, and the dynasty is over for
At
Bama.
least this year.
You can hear it first. This is the end of the Bama dynasty. I fully believe that this year. So it's great for my dogs. Got a great win. We should have been the number one team in the country. We weren't. We got disrespected, and we showed them what we thought about it by putting it to Tennessee. The score was a little closer than what you would think,
No, it was a more
but
decisive win in the score in the game. Absolutely.
there was some heavy rain. We started running the ball in the second half, but we put it to them pretty handily. So I was very happy with the win. Nervous about Mississippi State this week just because they run another gimmicky offense like Tennessee does, but overall, I love my dogs as much as I love wrestling.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why we've done this podcast.
Yeah. And I appreciate your optimism. I do believe deep in my heart that if LSU wins the SEC with 2 losses, they would get in ahead of TCU.
That would be
Uh,
tough,
with
man.
2 losses
That's
against an undefeated TCU team. And I just think it's a brand name thing. Um, that might
You
be
could be
enough to make
right,
me quit college football if that happens.
right? That would be heartbreaking to me
Yeah.
because that's not what that playoff is designed to do. So hopefully it'll work out. Another segment we were wanting to do is kind of studs and turds of the week. Do you have any studs for college football
Uh,
or
I got a stud for
uh,
the NFL. I mean, for anybody that plays fantasy football, man, y'all know what Joe Mixon did last week.
right?
You know what?
Unbelievable.
Hold on. I'm getting some news here. He has just scored another touchdown, folks.
Oh, he
The
scored
game's been
another
over for
one.
3 days, but he's in the end zone again.
He's still running.
Yeah,
My God, 150 plus rushing, five
5 touchdowns.
touchdowns,
Yeah, over
50,
50
60
points.
receiving.
Over
I
50
mean,
points in a
how,
non PPR league. It's
gosh,
over 50 points. I don't even know what
right.
he did in PPR. Uh,
That's truly an unbelievable game. Joe Mixon has to be a stud. I think Justin Fields kind of showed what everybody's been wanting from Justin Fields for
dude's
the
an
last
athlete.
year. Yeah, freak athlete, ran for 180. He's got to be a stud. I'm going to give mad props to TJ Hawkinson, an underrated trade the Vikings made to get a tight end from Detroit. This guy learned Minnesota's offense in 4 days.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins yesterday on Pat McAfee's show, shout out, claimed it took him 4 months to learn this during the offseason. Hawkinson learned it in 4 days, had 9 targets, 9 catches, some big third downs. So I wanted to give him some love too. But overall, great week. We got some great matchups coming up this week. I know my Vikings are playing the Bills. Pretty nervous, but some news came out about Josh Allen possibly being out. So fantasy
Yeah.
players, if you've got him, may want to really pay attention because they said he may have to have Tommy John depending on how damaged his UCL is, which is ulnar collateral ligament,
Something like that.
which
That's the
is
UCL and
when
Tommy
you
John. Yep.
yes, if you tear that, you have to have Tommy John in baseball. Roethlisberger had it a few years back for the
Yeah.
Steelers.
It can happen to anyone who uses their elbow a lot.
Don't want to see anybody
Nope.
get hurt, obviously, or injured long term. But it wouldn't hurt my feelings if he was out just this
Just
week.
the one game.
Just this week, precaution. He's the franchise. Let's just be cautious. You know,
But then you'd have to
but
play Case Keenum, and that's your former
right.
guy. Case
And we
Keenum
know
throwing
what
to
Keenum
Stephon
can
Diggs. We
do.
know what that does.
But overall, it's been a lot of fun this year. We wish everybody good health in
Yeah.
that. But it's going to be a heck of a matchup. The only 7-1 or the only one loss team left in the NFL going against the high powered Buffalo Bills. Um, who's the Niners got this week?
Niners playing the Chargers. Sunday Night Football.
Chargers.
Yep.
Nice. Are you ready for some football?
Always.
Another great game. Herbert is unbelievable. Eckler does what he does. That'll have major fantasy implications. Eckler going against that defense.
He'll find a way to
Uh,
get something going, I'm sure.
if the Niners could stay healthy, I truly believe they are one of the better teams in all of football.
How many
It's
F's are in that if?
unbelievable.
I think there's about 25 F's in there.
It's
Yeah,
it's
well, five
truly
maybe.
unbelievable how bad of injury luck they have. It's
It might not be luck.
I just pulled up real quick. You've got is it Germany week? Buccaneers
Yeah,
Seattle
Buccaneers
at
Seahawks this week.
9:30. Or I'm sorry, yeah, the Seahawks. We've got Detroit and Chicago in the Battle of the Turd Bowl. We've got the Commanders and Phillies, or I'm sorry, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, man, they've got to be the surprise of the league this year. I mean, I thought they were going to be good, but I didn't know they'd be undefeated good.
I didn't think undefeated either, but
Uh,
my preseason NFL pick, and you heard me say it with Bills and Eagles looking pretty
you did call
strong.
that. It's looking real good right now. You got Cleveland coming off a bye against Miami. That could have major fantasy games. Not too good of a defense in Miami.
Not
Nick
performing
Chubb
anyway.
hopefully runs wild. Jalen Waddle and Tariq are probably going to ball out. I'm just trying to see if there's any other. You got Jacksonville and Kansas City. I think that'll be an easy win for Kansas City. Um, we got the Rams and Cardinals. Has
Battle
anybody
for
been
last
more
place.
disappointing than the Rams? Like, other than the Packers, maybe? Are the Rams the most disappointing team in the league?
I
I
mean,
mean, you
I
could say
understand
that.
they
I
won the
mean,
Super Bowl last year, but it just never felt like they were the proper champions.
right. And it kind of makes you leery, do you go all in to get one and then now are they going to suck for 10 years? Like, because they have
uh,
no picks, they
no,
have
the
no
49ers
money.
are following that path too.
So it's going to be interesting. And we're going to make sure to cover some fantasy news and NFL news each week. We went a little long, so we didn't quite get into it as
All right.
much this week,
Yeah, that's
but it will
pay-per-view
be
time.
one of our stalwarts and favorite segments of the week. But I think that's going to about do it for us this week. Petey, you got anything else you'd like
I
to
just want
to
to
run
thank
down?
anybody who's been listening. I
Yes.
understand our audience is projected to be about 75 million people, give or take. Give or
Roughly.
take, give or take. I mean, no, we're gonna build our audience over time.
We will.
Hopefully, our quality shines through.
And, and
But we
what
are
will
thankful
suck
for,
here at the beginning, we will get better, much
yeah,
like podcast. We plan to incorporate some stuff. We hope to one day get a Patreon or like you said, but for now, until we get built up, we're going to be on YouTube and Spotify and no, we're not looking to get rich out of this by any means. We're just looking to have some fun, talk some stuff, some sports and wrestling, which we love, have some fun. That's what it's all about. So feel
absolutely.
free to comment. Feel free to follow me on Facebook or Twitter. Same for
Yeah, we'll have all
Pete.
that information out there
Yeah, we'll
in
have
the
it linked
descriptions and
with it.
whatnot. Yep.
So we hope you come back next week. And PD, take us home.
Yeah, like I said, we're going to be looking to be doing Tuesdays more often than not. Pay-per-view previews are a possibility. Uh, the day before, maybe even day of Crown Jewel. That wasn't going to happen being so early in the day. But thank you all very much. I do want to give a quick shout out to the Lemming Shepherds. They had, as the beginning at the show, you heard that music. The name of the song is Extremes. Give them credit for their little ditty. That's going to be our general theme song going forward. Appreciate their abilities and their contribution to music. Absolutely. We'll be back next week. It's going to be more of a balanced show. And then, of course, in full, a couple of weeks, we're going to be looking at Full Gear, AEW's last pay-per-view presentation of the calendar year. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Steven. Excellent job. We will catch everybody later. Peace out.